Hello, I hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video, which is one of two anticipated releases videos for the first few months of 2022. So last year I broke up this video into two and it worked. So I figured if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So in this video I will be talking exclusively about the historical fiction books that I am very excited about that are coming out between January and March, and then I will have a follow-up video where I'll basically be talking about all of the other genres of books that excite me, whether they are nonfiction, biographies and memoirs, general fiction, literary fiction, all that other stuff. But why don't we dive right in? So, depending on when this video goes live, a few of these books might already have been published because there are several that are being pubbed on my birthday, January 11th. It seems to be a good day for historical fiction books. So there's that. But I will put, per usual, all of the information about the books, the title, the author, the publication date, and the link to my bookshop affiliate link in the description box. I also have on my bookshop on bookshop.org, I keep a running list of anticipated releases throughout the year, so that's something you can check out if you are interested. And now that I have done that shameless plug, let's talk about the books, the first of which is The Siren of Sussex by Mimi Matthews, and this is a historical romance that I saw and piqued my interest because it is compared to Evie Dunmore. Everyone knows that I love the Evie Dunmore books. I've had such a fun time with them. I am constantly looking for other historical romances that will hit me the same way as the Evie Dunmore books, especially while we wait for the fourth book in the series to come out. But this is about a young woman living in the Victorian era. She is an equestrian, so a female equestrian, and she's on the fight to maintain her independence, and her ally and her love interest is this eligible bachelor, this half-Indian tailor. And the Evie Dunmore hook was really interesting to me. The fact that she wants her independence is really interesting to me, but I loved the fact that there was some sort of BIPOC character in this book, because I do feel like that's somewhat lacking in a lot of historical romances that I've come up against in any case so far, and exploring the romance genre is something that is a goal for 2022. I know next to nothing about the genre, so I could be completely off base, but there was a lot about this that seemed very promising, so I do want to give it a shot. The next book is Antoinettes Sister by Diana Giovinazzo, and this is a book that is really interesting to me. I feel like everyone knows at least a little something about Marie Antoinette, whether it's the fact that she reportedly said, "Let them eat cake," or that she was beheaded during the French Revolution, or, you know, the fact that she was the Queen of France. That would probably do it. But no one seems to know, at least in my mind, that much about her sister Charlotte, and I am fascinated. This is about her sister, who ends up marrying the King of Naples and becoming the queen, as one does when you marry the king, and it's about her time in Naples, but is also happening sort of at the same time that her sister is imprisoned and executed, and so it's going to be this story about Charlotte. Charlotte is someone that I know next to nothing about. It's also a time period that I'm increasingly growing more interested in, I think because of my interest in sort of revolutionary history. So I feel like this is just going to be a gem, and I'm very much looking forward to getting my hands on it. The next book, whose title I stumble over, so I'm going to read it, is Out Front the Following Sea by Leah Angstman, I believe is how you pronounce the name. And the book is described as like a historical epic. The cover is really striking and definitely caught my attention, but it's about this young woman living in the 17th century who is accused of witchcraft. because of the like murder of her parents, and so she has to flee, and so she ends up kind of stowing away aboard this ship of a sailor who's like the one person who I guess believes she's innocent, and then chaos ensues. And I'm here for it. It sounds like it could be a fun time. I'm ready for the chaos, the mayhem, the everything. It just sounds like it's going to have a lot of adventure happening, and the witchcraft angle is definitely appealing to me, I'm not gonna lie. The next book is The Great Mrs Elias by Barbara Chase Ribot? I want to go with Ribot on this one. And this is a historical fiction novel about one of the wealthiest black women in America during the 19th century, and it sounds absolutely fascinating. There's mention of a precipitous fall, which I think is attributed to the fact that there is a murder and mistaken identity that kind of sends her world on a spiral. But this just sounded so intriguing to me. I don't even know all that much about the book. I don't feel like I need to know more than what I just told you, but to hear about how Mrs. Elias, Hannah Elias, kind of obtains her wealth and kind of beats the odds. Like, I saw something where she basically like dispersed her millions through like 29 banks or something crazy before she like eventually bought this house on like the Upper West Side or the Upper East Side. It just sounds like it's gonna be a fun time, and I absolutely love reading historical fiction that focuses on women that I have never heard of. So that kind of ticks those boxes, and I am here for it, and it comes out in February. I think it's February 8th, so I'll be looking out for that one. The next book is The Last Grand Duchess by Bryn Turnbull, and it honestly has my name written all over it because it is about Russians. It is about Olga Romanov. She is the eldest sister of Anastasia. She is the eldest daughter of the last Tsar and Tsarina of Russia, and I'm here for it. It's a story about her as a young woman, it sounds like, dealing with the coming revolution, the fact that her mother is ill, the fact that her brother is ill, Rasputin being on the scene, just kind of all of the chaos that eventually leads to the family's assassination during the Russian Revolution. I have, in fact, read another book by Bryn Turnbull, The Woman Before Wallace. I read that earlier in 2021. I think I listened to it as an audiobook, actually, and the book was okay, but I'm hoping that because the subject matter of this one is a little bit more up my alley, that I will probably get on with it a little bit more. I also maybe want to read this as a physical book rather than listen to it as an audiobook. I think that might make a difference in my reading experience. But I'm here to learn anything and everything about Russia, so a book about one of the Romanov girls, I'm here for. Absolutely. The next book is The Magnificent Lives of Marjorie Post by Alison Pataki. This is all about Marjorie Post of the Post Cereal Company, and her life sounds like something that should be turned into a movie. There were descriptions of her outrunning the Nazis, of entertaining the Roosevelts and the Kennedys and Hollywood stars, of like saving the Tsar's treasures from warehouses in Moscow, just all sorts of things that makes this woman sound like such a badass. And so I am here for it so much. There's also the fact that I've read several books by Alison Pataki that makes this a book I'm very interested in reading. There's one on Desiree. What is the name of the book? Why am I blanking? But she is one of the lovers of Napoleon. She was the one that was jilted for Josephine. And I read that book and it sent me on a spiral. I had so much fun with the audiobook. I then proceeded to buy up every historical fiction book on like the Napoleonic Wars because of that book. So I had a fabulous, fabulous time. So here's hoping this book does the same thing for me. But as I said, Marjorie Post sounds like quite the woman, and I just want to know all the things, like all of the things. The next book is The School of Mirrors by Eva Stachniak, I believe. But this is a historical fiction set in the 18th century in France. And the School of Mirrors is reportedly this institution, as it were, where Louis XV's mistress, Madame Pompadour, trains young girls to be mistresses of the king. And so in this situation, Veronique is an impoverished young woman who goes through the school of mirrors, becomes a favorite of the king, and has a child. And it is about the mother as much as it's supposed to be about the daughter, who doesn't really know anything about her parentage. And it just sounds like it's going to be fantastic. Considering that it's set in the 18th century in France, in the royal court, I feel like it's going to be absolutely decadent, and I love that. I love that for me. I also know a little bit about Madame Pompadour, but I'd be interested to maybe see her in this fictionalized portrayal. But it just sounds like a lot of fun, and so I can't wait to get my hands on it. The next book is another historical romance. This one is The Lady Thampson Air by Harper St. George, and there's a slight problem here. This is the third book in the series. So I already have book one on hold with the Libby app so that I can listen to that, but it's a hold for like 9 or 10 weeks, so it seems to be a popular book, which bodes well. But this had a stunning cover. The colors definitely caught me. I do like a pretty cover, I will admit that. So it is a fake engagement situation. This American heir is like, I'm never stepping foot in England again, except false. His father delivers him an ultimatum and he has to cross the pond. I don't know what that hand gesture was. And meets up with Lady Helena March, who is a radical who kind of fraternizes with the undesirables of the society, the fallen women, and the like. And obviously they come to some sort of arrangement, and obviously romance ensues, but it sounds delightful, and considering that the first book in the series is as popular as it seems to be on the Libby app, this should be a wild ride. But I do have 2 books to read before I get to this one, so there is kinda a caveat with this one. The next book is probably my most anticipated book of the first quarter, maybe one of my most anticipated books of the year because I've been eyeing it for absolute months. It is Czarina's Daughter by Ellen Alpston. I read the first book, Czarina, in 2021, and it was one of my faves. I talk about it in one of my book brackets. I talk about it as one of my favorite books of the year. And so the sequel to it, I've had my eye on. It is about Tsarina Catherine I's daughter, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the daughter of Peter the Great. And she also comes to power in Russia, but there's a lot of intrigue and there's usually a lot of violence and scandal and intrigue, and I am kind of here for it because the Elizabeth we saw in Tsarina is one that can hold her own. She definitely is a powerful personality, a force to be reckoned with, and so to see her as the focus of this book, yes, I am here for it. I am here for it so much. And fun fact, she is also connected to my beloved Catherine the Great. So she chooses Peter the Third to be her heir, and Peter marries Catherine the Great. And so what I'm kind of hoping is that we might see a little bit of Catherine the Great in this, and that maybe Ellen Alpston is working on a novel about Catherine the Great. That is my hope. That is my dream. I am so ready for it. Ellen Alpston, if you are watching this video, please make it happen. But yes, as I said, one of my most anticipated releases, probably of 2022. So the next one is Peach Blossom Spring by Melissa Fu, which is a multi-generational family, and I love that. It is about, I think, 3 generations of a Chinese family, and it originally starts in China, and with the Japanese army kind of coming a-knocking, they end up leaving and moving to America. It does sound like, based on what I read, that some of the older generation aren't necessarily comfortable about talking about their past, and that might have some repercussions for the younger generation and their identity. That's just my speculation. But as I said, I really do enjoy a multi-generational family. I love the multi-layered way that a story is told in that way, because you have these different characters all with different life experiences, but all connected to one another. So this is one that I am pretty excited about as well. And the last book that I'm going to talk about today is The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. And this is the first book in a trilogy, apparently, but when I saw this book, it was described as something for fans of Circe and Silence of the Girls, and I am a fan of both. So I was just like, yes, give me the book. It is about a young woman who is enslaved in a brothel in Pompeii, and her story, I would imagine, since it's set in Pompeii, I'm assuming that in one of the books, Vesuvius erupts. I would just assume. How could you be set in Pompeii and that not be the case? But I'm intrigued because of the comparison to both Circe and to The Silence of the Girls. I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of feminist vein to the stories. And honestly, I was never someone who really thought I would be drawn to ancient history. I was never one for ancient Greek or ancient Roman history beyond a few selective or selected sort of myths that I was very attached to. But beyond that, not so much. But in the last couple of years, Circe, Women of Troy, Silence of the Girls, I have 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes on my list. I'm interested in the other book by Madeline Miller that is coming out that I believe is on Persephone. There's a book on Ariadne that came out last year, one on Pandora. Basically, I'm feeling it. There's a vibe. I'm just gonna lean hard into it, and since this is a book that is described for people who love Circe and The Silence of the Girls, I was like, yes, please. That is a tall order for a book to be as beloved as those two by me, but I'm willing to give it a shot, and it sounds like it's going to be a wild ride. So yeah, first book in a trilogy. I'm ready. I will fasten my seatbelts. So yes, those are 10 historical fiction books that I am very much looking forward to in the first few months of 2022. I am very hyped about them. I am very jazzed. Even so, I know that there's absolutely no way that I will read all of these books in 2022, but I will certainly pick up some of them. I have already pre-ordered Czarina's Daughter, so that's definitely happening. But hopefully you found a few books to add to your TBR and to get excited about too, because I am your hype woman. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!